Hey, welcome back to this Tecumseh 10 horsepower engine rebuild, restore, whatever you want to call it. Last time we got the muffler bolts drilled out. That was the big thing. We got the engine block kind of cleaned up, everything taken apart. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take a wire wheel and kind of de-rust all of these tins, and then take a flapper disc. This is an 80 grit in here now, and maybe a 120 afterwards. Take all the paint off, get it down to bare metal, prime it, paint it for all of the tins. This one's not so bad, but the flywheel cover tin is not quite blown out, but it's getting there, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to take care of it now while the engine is all apart. I changed to a 36 grit flapper disc. Hopefully that'll make a difference. It'll make it go a little bit faster. That worked pretty well. I am satisfied with that. I'm not going to do anything with the bottom. I'm just going to wash it, spray it off, degrease it, and prime it. And the top side is what's going to get the actual black paint. Now this tin, it is not blown out here, but it's going that way, and I want to stop that. I actually don't have the means of welding a new stud in there right now. I don't have access to a welder, unfortunately. I know, that's a bad thing. I'm gonna have to rectify that at some point. But anyway, I'd like to get this painted at least. We can come back and weld in a stud later and touch up the paint. I just don't want this to rust or blow out anymore. The engine tag is here. It is not in the best condition, and I can't really, it's all coming apart and rusting underneath of it, so something has to be done. That has to come off, and I'm gonna try and save it. I actually have another one of these. I don't need that, and this I don't need at all. This was the original tag to, it was a log splitter. I don't know if you can see that. It was a Brave log splitter. It says log there, and that's what the guy told me. He said it came off of a log splitter, but this tag, the model number and the serial number are gone, and not that I have that log splitter anyway, so we're just gonna remove that and be done with it. And the engine tag, I don't know what the chances of me getting this off in one piece are. I'd say it's possible. Oh, that paint and rust is just coming apart there. You don't need to see me peel stickers, so I'll bring you back for better or worse. If we can't save it, I know what it is. I have it all written down. I have a good high-resolution picture of that tag, so at least I'll know what it is. By the way, it was built in the year 2000 on the 192nd day of the year, which is, I don't know, sometime in July or August, something like that. Look at that. I got it. Not bad either. I should be able to put this back on after this is all painted up. I won't do that until I weld this on. It's close enough that it'll probably burn up. So I'll just keep this somewhere safe, and eventually when I weld that on, I will put that tag back on. I got that one off too. I started, and it's taken a lot of flapper disking to get it down to good metal. You can see still where there's pitting and everything in this tin. Alright, this is as good as I am prepared to make all of this stuff. So I'm gonna go get some brake clean and wash all of this stuff off. I'm chasing these 3 existing studs with a die because 1, they have rust and paint on them, and 2, I hit all but one of them, I think, with the flapper disc. and kind of boogered the threads up, so cleaning up the threads, then it'll be time to rinse this stuff off with brake clean and then paint. Why don't we jump on this carburetor and take it apart and see what's what in it. Actually looks pretty clean inside. What treasures, if any, do you think? Well, that doesn't look so good around the bowl nut, does it? Oh, this is not a Tecumseh carburetor, so this is a metric bowl nut. 13 millimeter. Not as bad as I thought. Not as bad as I thought. Still, there's crust. What do you think? What do you think? What kind of treasures do you think lie in here? Oh boy. You think water got in that? Ooh, and that is quite a smell that came out of that. Whoa. Ah, that would be why the bowl flooded over and fuel started coming out of the intake. The needle is frozen here. There we go, freed up there. I don't have the right tools. Never prepared. Well, we'll see. Oh man, what a mess. Definitely was like it kind of looked like a new carb that water got into. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take, what else can we take off? Yep, someone's been in there. Those are kind of getting to the point where they may strip. And I do not believe I can get a wrench on that. No, I cannot. I can get a wrench on this side. But you know what? I think I'm going to just leave it. I'm not going to mess with taking this off of this intake pipe. I'm going to clean it while it's on there. I still don't know if this is even the right carburetor or not. It has no markings on it, so there's no guarantee. See what it looks like in here. That's actually not too bad. I don't think water got into the idle circuit. I think it just got down into the bowl. I don't know about this. Huge chunks are coming up. Alright, let me work on this a little bit. Want some? What I wouldn't give for a sandblaster right about now. Media blaster. I took some sandpaper and sanded it out in there, chipped it away. No more big chunks, but it is very pitted and is still very rusty. The proper thing to do would be to sandblast it, put it in a media blaster. I do not have that, so we're gonna run with what we have here. And at some point, I do have a replacement carburetor, but what's the fun in that, right? Who wants to do that? I want a challenge, and this is a challenge. Let's do the jet now. Oh boy, I don't know about that washer. We'll try it. We will try it. We'll see what happens. The jet does not actually look clogged. Yeah, that looks good. But I will poke it out. I think this carb was actually pretty new. Somebody replaced it and then let it sit, and then this happened to it. That's kind of what it looks like, because, you know, other than having a bunch of water in it, this carb, you know, the body and the insides look practically new. So I don't know. Don't know what happened to it. Let's see. That one? Yep. That'll work. That'll work there too. And let's not forget the little idle hole. That one. Yep. That'll work. These are welding tip cleaners, but they work pretty good as carb jet cleaners. All right. Nice. Let's see, where am I going to put finished stuff? Put the finished stuff in here. Let's do the same thing here. As good as it's going to get. I do notice on here, on where the governor linkage goes up, there's a little piece of plastic flashing. And right there. That could have interfered with the operation of the governor, the linkage. I don't know. Here is the replacement carburetor. This is a real Tecumseh carburetor. This is the knockoff that came with the motor. As you can see, they are pretty similar. This one is kind of set up for a snowblower. It has a bracket for the airbox cover. It also has a right angle fuel inlet, whereas this one has a straight one. I would need to change this if I was to use it. Otherwise, the carburetors are on the surface pretty similar. But you can tell a real Tecumseh carburetor has engravings here, either here or here. And these reference, so 5199, you can actually cross-reference that with a part number. And that part number, the cross-reference is correct for this motor. It's what the parts manual says it is. So this is the carburetor that's supposed to go on it, and this is a replacement knockoff that somebody put on it. We're going to run with this one for now, because I'd like to see if I can get it to run. It's what it came with. And if I don't have to use this, I'll keep this as a backup and as a spare, and you know, only use it if I have to. Alright, time for reassembly. I'm looking down there at the in the fuel inlet, and that inlet down there looks really nice. Very nice, looks brand new. So I really don't think that this needle is going to have trouble sealing. That's another difference. Real Tecumseh carburetor would have a rubber seat down there, and the needle would be all metal. But this one has a rubber tip. But it's not corroded or anything. It's actually really nice. So I have a feeling that this is gonna seal up pretty good. Let's put this back together. Needle the clip, pointy end of the clip towards the air intake, like that. I don't know if the same applies to a knockoff like this, but oops. And that is sitting just about level, just how I like it. This bull ring is still flexible, but it's got a nice cut of rust on it that's kind of making it inflexible, but I'm just gonna run with it for now. If we have carb problems, which I fully expect, we'll revisit. This is all just for fun. There we are. As long as this seals, you know, who cares? And as long as this doesn't produce chunks, you know, in the and clog up the jet, you know, what does it really matter? I mean, it after sanding it and everything, there is an anti-corrosion coating that they usually put in these bowls, and that is definitely gone. But, you know, maybe I'll get a season or 2 or 3 or whatever out of it, you know. This gasket is really rusted up too. There it goes. Done. All right, now we can turn our attention to the engine. Next up, I'm going to try and replace the fuel line here. The fuel line I have, this is ethanol resistant fuel line, and it is a lot thicker than the standard fuel line that usually is used with these Tecumseh motors. It definitely will work. I've gotten it to work in the past, but it's usually a struggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this old fuel line out and then attempt to work the new fuel line in. So it's going to take a little bit of finessing, persuasion to get it through, but eventually I will. Combination of screwdrivers, pliers, pulling, pushing, I'll get it through. I'll bring you back. Alright, I made it through, and I think that's probably going to work. I'm going to leave it, I'm not going to cut it on the other end until I have it all set up, just so that I can have some, you know, wiggle room to adjust things. This is the old intake gasket that I broke the tab off of here. And it's gonna be, I have a whole bunch of gaskets and stuff, and the Tecumseh's, I don't think it's that one, but it might be one of these. That looks about right, doesn't it? I think that's gonna work for us. Yeah, that's definitely going to work for us. All right, let's start putting stuff together. These tins came out decent, you know. You can still see the flapper disc marks in them, but you know what? This thing is so beat anyway that I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. As long as it doesn't look like a total rusted piece of crap, I think we'll be okay. That doesn't look half bad. Not bad at all. Oops. I forgot to attach the ground wire to the coil before I put the cover back on. Let's fix that. We connect right here on the coil. Don't break that tab off. The kill wire also hooks behind that clip right there to kind of keep it away from the muffler and moving parts and all of that. So I'm going to make sure it stays behind there. I realized during the carb clean that I forgot to check whether the float is working. It was stuck before, so I should be able to blow through it now. I can, and if I turn it upside down, should not be able to blow through it. And I can't. So this carb is working okay. Let's see. This thing was in that hole right there, I think. If not, well, we'll find out. Not really looking for a repeat of any broken bolts, so we're gonna put some anti-seize on this, both the intake and the exhaust. It lines up okay, but it's sitting a little bit high, so I'm gonna bend that with a vice grip, see how it fits. Nothing a little persuasion couldn't fix. Check this out. Somebody has drilled two rather large holes in the top of this gas cap. You think that would let water in? I'm pretty sure that is what the ultimate demise of this engine was. They were having trouble with the original carburetor. They realized it was a fuel problem, and they thought that there might be a vacuum in the fuel tank, that the gas cap wasn't letting air in. They drilled holes in it. Still couldn't get it to work. They replaced the carburetor. It started working, but I believe it was probably stored outside, and those holes, when it rained, water went right into the tank. Water sinks to the bottom of the tank. It then goes into the carburetor. It flowed into the new carburetor, rusted out the bottom, made the float stick, and then it would not run anymore. And so they finally, they gave up after that. That was the last straw. And that's when I got it. I'm going to see if I can rinse out this gas tank just a little bit before I put the new fuel lines on. Excuse all of the bicycles and playthings in the background. I'm going to see if I can be lazy about this. I kind of like these hose clamps, tiny hose clamps that they used. So I'm going to reuse them. There we go. All hooked up. We're ready to go. Now we're ready to go. I put the pull start back on. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? First, oil. I drained the oil while you weren't looking, so I got to fill up the crankcase, and then we'll give it a start. Full choke, about half throttle, and let's go. Oh, spark plug. Didn't want to forget that. Oh, we got a pop. Kind of see a potential problem. If you look in there, I don't know if you can see the butterfly, cannot open quite full. The governor linkage is kind of wedged up against the intake pipe. I'm gonna go bend that up a little bit and see where that gets us. Never have the right tools. That's a Phillips screwdriver, not a Torx like the governor one. I'm not 100% sure about this carburetor. I tend to find that these knockoff replacement Tecumseh carburetors are a mixed bag. Some I've gotten to work fine, some I don't. I'm questioning this, especially since if you remember that bowl, what that looked like. I wonder if there's stuff. I don't know though. I'm not sure because giving it choke does not seem to make it better. I dropped the bowl. Seems to be developing new rust on the inside of the bowl. The jet looks pretty clean. There's nothing that is obviously clogged about it. I don't know. This carburetor might be done. I'm gonna try spraying it out again, and I'm gonna probably drill this jet ever so slightly, and we'll see where that gets us. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about this carb, and right now I'm even less sure about it. So the jet that came off of the carburetor is a number 57. So number 57 goes through this hole, and this is the jet off of the OEM Tecumseh carburetor, and a number 56 just kind of barely fits through. There's a lot of drag. I didn't force it, but it would go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this one a number 56 as well. So I'm going to get the number 56 and drill that out to be closer to the OEM one. And this idle air restrictor screw, you can't see it, but there is a tiny piece of rust caught in the tip. This thing is, growing rust as we speak, so I don't know. I was messing with the carburetor again, and I discovered never trust a carburetor that somebody else has gotten to before you. I popped the emulsion tube out, and this O-ring came out with it, normal, and I was assuming that this O-ring was still up in the carb body, but you can't see that, I don't think, but there's nothing there. There's no O-ring. So that was not making a seal. It was allowing air to get around. No wonder. That's definitely one of the reasons why this carburetor is not running correctly, among others. But let's go replace those O-rings and see where that gets us. Not saying that this is going to work, but this is definitely part of the problem. If you want to see, you know what? I'll post in the upper right-hand corner. I'll put a link to a carburetor clean, a Tecumseh snowblower carburetor clean. You can see me actually pull out the emulsion tube, dig out O-rings, and replace them and do the full thing. This video is more on the engine than the carburetor, so I'll bring you back when this is back on the machine. Alright guys, I think I'm going to call it here. This video is getting pretty long. I really would like to try this, the carburetor that, the OEM Tecumseh carburetor. But the problem is it has a right angle 90 degree fuel inlet adapter. And I am not able to use that. I need a straight one. So I will have to order one of those and replace that on this one before I can use this carburetor. And because of what's going on right now, that's not going to be a quick thing. So with that, I guess I'm going to call this here, and we'll pick up on this next time. And thanks for joining me. If you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and see you in the next one.